today I am going to be doing a 20 questions about books video. I saw someone on YouTube do this and I was like, that looks like fun, because I am not very good at posting videos. I'm not very popular. No one tags me in these yet, but I don't care. I'm going to do it anyway. We're going to start the video. Well, the video's already started, but quick note, my books, you can't see them all, but my books are on the floor because I am repainting my bookshelf right now and it's not done yet. By the time the video goes up, it might be done, but as of right now, it's not done yet. But these are pretty books. These are not all my books, but these are pretty books that I'm doing my videos in front of, so that's why they're on the floor. Anyway, question number 1. How many books are too many in a series? So, I was gonna say that I like shorter series that are shorter, but then I remembered I read the Christy Miller series, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there's a spin-off series, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That's 13 books just about Christy Miller, and then there's the C.U. Jensen series and the Katie Weldon series. So that's a lot of books that I've read in one series. I haven't read all the spin-off series, but I have read all of the Christy Miller series that are specifically Christy Miller. And I didn't think that was too many, and I want more. So, but in general, I was gonna say maybe like 3 or 4. But I also have read The Chronicles of Narnia, which is 7 books. But I do think like a trilogy is good enough. It does depend on how much I like the books, but I do feel like 3 books is usually a good amount of books in a series. I've also read the Harry Potter books, which are 7 books, but I'm still gonna stick to 3. I don't usually prefer series. I usually prefer standalones or trilogies because it's shorter to go through. So I'm gonna say 3. How do you feel about cliffhangers? Whenever I think of cliffhangers, I think of Time to Die by Nadine Brandes. I don't have the book with me, or I would be showing it to you. My sister is borrowing it, but that had one of the worst cliffhangers ever, and I read it a few years ago, and I still haven't gotten the second book, and it's been torture. I have mixed feelings about cliffhangers. If I have the second or third or the rest of the series or something, then it's okay, because I can start it right away. If I don't like them. And I feel the same about killing characters too. If you're doing it because you think it's actually good for the story, then go ahead. But if you're doing it just so you can be one of those authors that has cliffhangers or kills off their characters, don't do it. That's a lame reason. Do the story you can, the best you can. And if it ends with a cliffhanger and the second book isn't out yet, I will try to forgive you. Hardback or paperback? So I do prefer hardback in some ways. I think they look nicer and they're hardier, especially if you have fat books like by Jill Williamson. I'm going to get this book out. I'm not going to be able to get it back in. But paperbacks are lighter, especially if you like lay down and read and drop it on your face. It's lighter, or if you take them with you places, it's lighter, and that's really nice. I don't hate paperbacks. Favorite book? I don't like to have favorite books. I have favorite authors, and I haven't finished this book, but Nadine Brandes is one of my favorite authors. So is Jill Williamson. I really liked the Selection series and C.S. Lewis and Robin Jones Gunn. Stephanie Merrill. So those are some of my favorite authors. Least favorite book. Ooh. Recently got The Cubicle Next Door by Siri Mitchell from a used bookstore, and I've read 2 of her other books, I think, and they were historical, and I really liked them. So when I got this one, I was really excited about them, but then it was kind of a big disappointment. Basically, I didn't like the main character, and I was like, it's okay. Maybe the storyline will be good, or maybe the person she falls in love with will be good, because it's a love story, but I didn't like her, I didn't like the guy. yeah, I just didn't like it. It was disappointing. Triangle, yes or no? I don't even have the Hunger Games over here too. Whenever I think of love triangles, I think of the Hunger Games. But, hold on. Well, the selection was sort of like a love triangle, but it was like a love triangle with 36 sides because of the guy and 35 girls, and I don't know what shape has that many sides. So whatever that shape is. I'm not against them, if necessarily. It really just depends on if I like the book in general. So if I like the book, like I liked the Hunger Games, fine. So the love triangle was fine. I do think that it can be done poorly, and I do think it can be done well. It just depends. It really just depends. I won't avoid a book because it has a love triangle, but I don't think I've ever sought out a book because it had a love triangle in it either. It won't make me not want to read it, but it won't make me want to read it either. The most recent book you couldn't finish, that was The Cubicle Next Door by Siri Mitchell. A book you're currently reading, oops, Red Mouth by Nadine Brandes. The last book you recommended to someone, oh, I know, and I don't have this book either because I let my sister borrow it, but yeah, it was The Girl Who Could See by Kara Swanson. It was so good. Oldest book you've read? Oh, based on publication date. Okay. The oldest book I've read, I actually looked up this the other day for fun because I was curious, and I think the oldest book I've read is Anne of Green Gables. It's not the original publishing original cover, but it was copyrighted in 1908. So I think this is the oldest book. I also have the Chronicles of Narnia, but that was published in like the 1950s, so that's not the oldest. And I also have The Hobbit over there. That was published in like the 1950s too, but I think this is the oldest one. Newest book you've read? Oh, well, I haven't finished it yet, but Red Mouth by Nadine Brandes. Other than that, what's the other newest book I've read? Oh, I have, this is an ebook, but I'm still going to try to show you the cover. It was The Fall of Leaves by Tessa Emily Hall. It came out, I don't know, but I read it at the beginning of this year. So, favorite author? Oh, we went over this when I was talking about my favorite books. Buying books or borrowing them. I like buying them. I don't really have anyone to borrow them from in a library. The last time I went there was like 10 years ago, and it was super lame, and it never had the books that I wanted. So I like buying them, but I like buying them used because they're cheaper, and then you're supporting a used book business. That's not bad. Supporting a new book business isn't bad either, but it is more expensive for me. A book you dislike that everyone else loves. Ooh, Mortal Engines earlier. That was made into a movie, so I guess a lot of people loved it, but I did not. But the other one...
see, I guess a lot of people like this. Please don't fall and crush me and kill me. Oh, this is going to be so fun getting them back into their places. Okay.
The Kinsman Chronicles by Jill Williamson. I do love Jill Williamson. I really do love her books, but I just couldn't get into the series. I read the first two, and I never got the third one, so that's one that I didn't really care about, but I do really like the author, so I don't like to talk about it because I don't want to offend her or anything. I love her other books. It's just the Kinsman Chronicles weren't really my thing, but I'm willing to give them another try and then maybe even read the last book. And bookmarks or dog ears. So in case you don't know, dog ears, when you like take the corner of the page and you fold it, and that's how you keep your place in books. But I like to keep my books looking nice, and the smooth spines and the pretty pages. So I like bookmarks. And I always seem to be losing bookmarks. Like, I know I have a lot somewhere, but I can never seem to find them when I want them. So they're just kind of somewhere, floating in my life. Not floating. It might be easier to find if they were floating, but they're somewhere. So I usually just try to remember what page I was on, and I usually fail. But, yeah, bookmarks. A book you can reread over and over.
The Selection by Kiera Cass. It's just... oh, hold on. It's in a box. It's in a box now. Oh, no! Anyway, it's fine.
But The Selection by Kiera Cass is just... Now, it's not a Christian book, so there's not that aspect, but it is pretty clean. But it's just very fluffy and light, and if you don't want to think about something, so you can just read it for fun, and people aren't like getting assassinated every chapter, and they wear pretty dresses, and it's just kind of a fun love story. Can you read while listening to music? You know, I don't usually ever try. Multiple point of views or one point of view? I think I prefer one point of view. Question 19. Do you read a book in one sitting or over multiple days on average? Over multiple days on average. I just don't usually sit down and read one book in one sitting and read all day. I'm kind of a slow reader too, so that helps. Oh, and the last question is, who do you tag? And I'm not super active on YouTube, so I don't really have people that I usually tag or don't tag. So if you want to do it, and if you don't, and we're good. Let me know if you like any of the authors that I talked about or any authors you would recommend or books. And tell me what the oldest book you read is. Well, I guess the oldest book I've read is probably the Bible, but Bible is also like one you can reread and recommend. Does it have cliffhangers? I don't really think so. I don't remember any cliffhangers.